the person we have who sets up the cameras and sets up the microphone says, make sure you do an audio clap, Casey. And Candice started applauding like this. No,
it's a clap that's audible.
An audio clap is when you do a big clap that all the cameras can see and that the microphones can hear. So when you're editing it later, you know where to line up and how to line up the audio. Do you care? You're just glazing over.
Well, I know now. I just don't need like a college level explanation of it.
Okay, roll the intro music. Candice and Casey's podcast. They're doing couples therapy. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Candice and Casey's couples therapy. It's good to have you hear us again.
So sorry about last week. So sorry.
It's not just that we were like late or like sometimes my vlogs come out of date. Like we just didn't upload at all last week, and really sorry about that. I can't even blame Candice.
It was a weird week.
Yeah. So last week, I think the day before we recorded was when the news came out about Kate Spade's death. Kate Spade was a very close friend of mine, of ours, and I don't know, it was a heavy wet blanket on us as we were trying to record the podcast. And of course we addressed it and we started talking about it. We started talking about, losing loved ones in general. And the whole thing just got kind of dark, and Candice and I went down this hole that we just couldn't get out of.
And after 30 minutes, we looked at each other and we're like, let's just quit.
Yeah, it was just like...
we shouldn't even. It's like...
Well, I just think the magic of this podcast and being here with you, Candice, and having these conversations is that we're so honest. And like, I don't know, what was it, 2 weeks ago where you were just like, you were just totally mean to me for the first 20, like it is who we are. And that's what this podcast is. And I think that's what makes it special. So for us to try to bullshit our way through.
It felt selfish to get to have, neither of us, I think, were willing to get into our zone because it was just.
It felt like we were lying. It felt like we were BSing.
But now we're here.
And we're in a much better place this week. I'm very happy to be here.
I think that I feel like we're on equal playing field this week.
Was I in trouble last week?
No, it's just, I can't figure out what it is.
Oh, because we're both wearing sunglasses. Yeah. Do I look as annoying as you with sunglasses on as you look with sunglasses on right now?
Oh, honey.
Is this why everybody rolls their eyes at me all the time?
Oh, honey.
For some reason today, Candice showed up wearing sunglasses. Well, if we're going to get into Candice showing up, we can zoom out even further. So Candice drives every day from her office to this office, and if she pulled up today and I saw her pull up, and then she hadn't walked into the studio, for 5 minutes, so I was calling her and texting her, and she sends me back a lone text that said, "Need ice cream." It's cute.
It's so, like all those, sorry, you remember how I told you that one of my drugs I take causes stupor? Now imagine having that plus baby brain. It's like, I'm lucky if I get a complete sentence out once a day.
And welcome to the podcast, everyone. So we ran around Chinatown for the last 25 minutes finding ice cream. We did find a great place, though, where they had
used
some
liquid
sort of
nitrogen to freeze it right in front of you.
But, we haven't yet on the podcast, Candice, addressed why you have an irrational need for ice cream at all times of the day.
'Cause I got a watermelon in my tummy.
Candice is pregnant. But you probably already know that, because I can't imagine anybody who listens to this podcast who doesn't watch the YouTube show. But yeah, Candice, she good and knocked up. You're pregnant as can be.
Mm-hmm.
Super pregnant.
And I think I've been really well behaved.
Compared to last time, God.
Yeah. But this morning, I got a little tiffy.
A little
testy. But I immediately apologized for being testy. I was like, listen, I'm so sorry, but why are there 2 dishes in the sink?
You flipped out. I didn't even clean the house. I put away all the baby's Play-Doh.
I saw. And I didn't see, because all I saw were the 2 dishes.
Just blind rage this morning in our house because of a dish. Candice is pregnant, 4.5 months, 5.5 months. 5.5 months?
Almost 5 months.
5 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. She's gigantic. Mm-hmm. That's not like a judgmental, I'm not like, she's big. She's proper big. Candice looks at 5 months, I think some women look at your friend who just had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
She was the same size as you are the week before she had her kid,
Mm-hmm.
and you're only halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
How big can you possibly get?
I mean, do you remember the week before? I took 2 pictures. One week, and one the night before my water broke with Francine.
You were impossibly
and it was like
huge.
an extra 3-inch girth
in
one week.
Yeah, you were gigantic.
I mean, I was very afraid of my skin tearing open.
Some women don't get huge, and some women get huge. Candice just gets huge. You're getting good and huge now.
I already can't get out of bed. I get into my little pillow, and Franny calls my name, and I'm like, like what's an animal that you put on like a turtle on its back? Like I just can't figure out how to get up.
And the sleeping arrangement in our house is it's a little screwy. So typically...
Listen, it works for us.
It does. It works for you. It does not work for me.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought you said you loved sleeping in the guest room.
I did until like the last few months where I've been evicted.
Well, I'm sorry. It's like that's the price you have to pay.
There are 4 beds in our house, and I have nowhere to sleep. Mm-hmm. Nowhere.
You can't sleep in bed with me because there's no room.
Nope, I can't.
And you snore.
I can't sleep on...
Why can't you sleep on Franny's bed?
Because you got the worst mattress ever. No one can sleep in that bed. That bed is like... It's like sleeping on a garbage bag filled up with wet corrugated cardboard. That's what that feels like. And then I sleep on the couch, which is fine in the living room, but I can't do that anymore because you come out every 15 minutes to have a snack all hours of the night. Were you like boiling a lobster last night at 4:15 in the morning? And then sleeping with Francine is like having a 30-pound jihadist in bed with you.
Well, she doesn't sleep in bed with me, but even when she's on the floor, it's Mommy. Oh, the funniest. Mommy, the bed pushed me out. Like on the carpet. I'm like, well, get back in.
She's like how cows have like a mercury in their brains and they always know how to face north. Francine always knows how to lay perpendicular to the bed. About cows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And she's just awful. So I don't know if it's every night it's musical chairs in our house, musical beds.
No, we have to be stricter parents and put her in her room. I just don't know how we're going to do it. You know what's interesting about being a parent, about being in a relationship? I think there's things that like couples are supposed to fight about. It's like money, religion, and parenting. Or I think money and parenting are the 2 biggest reasons people like married couples fight and break up. And we already went through the money thing, which I think we sorted out within a year, which was good.
What is that? What are you talking about?
There was just that thing where like you were independent for so long and I was independent for so long.
Oh yeah, and then we
came together, and I felt very left out of like financial decisions. But you had never had to share it with anyone, and then I had a family where my mom was very involved in the financial stuff that my dad had going on, and your parents were not. Wasn't like a open topic of conversation in the house. Whereas with us, it was just like we all talked about it. And I actually think that's what first put us in therapy, isn't it? Because we were talking about like your will,
you
or
dragged me in there.
Yeah. Anyway, it worked out. We're fine. I'm much more comfortable, and you're getting much better at being open. I mean, I don't need to know your finances. We have separate bank accounts, but like
I just got life insurance, and now I'm worried that you're going to kill me.
I mean, you shouldn't be worried. I'm worried that even if you trip and fall and get run over by a car and I'm like in another city, they're going to blame me because of life insurance.
No matter what, it will be
I'm
your
in the
fault.
first suspect.
Yeah, no matter what, it will be your fault when I choke on a ring ding. And you show up to collect.
That's funny.
See, the minute we start talking about that, like it feels so dark.
Okay, but let's get back to the parenting thing.
Okay, go.
So the money thing is a big thing people fight about. And that's really hard to overcome because that's like very personal, and I don't know. That was a lot of work on our part. The parenting thing is the other thing that's like, look, I can fight with you about leaving dishes in the sink, and I can pick on you and you can get angry and it can turn into a fight. But when we disagree on how to parent Francine on something, like fundamentally disagree on it, don't you get like a feeling in your stomach like, who did I marry?
What do we fundamentally disagree about? No, I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now.
Come on, let's think of an example.
I don't have a single
like
thing.
candy.
Yeah, I just sort of say whatever I think you want to hear so the conversation can be over. And then we can move on.
Well, that in and of itself is a problem. Don't you think?
No.
Okay, the other day we brought up moving to California not being like a long-term thing. And I said, no, we have to, because wherever Francine starts kindergarten, I want her to stay. Like the whole time, I want her to have the same friends and the same campus or the same neighborhood.
What Candice is talking about is, I said, like, we can leave New York City and wherever we land, if we dislike it there, we can move and go somewhere else. And she said, no, like wherever we land, we have to stay until the kiddo finishes high school, because you can't move someone like while they're in school. They need to really feel like they have a sense of belonging to their home and their town.
I do feel that way, and there are situations where that's not possible. Your father's in the military, your mother's in the military, or
you're drifting. I understand.
No, okay.
We never thought about that.
Well, because we're so good at communicating, but
we
were in that car when we were in the car discussing that.
Yeah,
we both shut down because I was like, that is a hard no. If we're moving to California, then Francine is going to grow up in LA.
Right, but
and you said, oh no, we can move, put hair on her chest. He's like, you said this is going to be a problem.
Is that your Casey impression?
Yeah.
I never said this is going to be a problem. I think I'm more, I moved when I was 14 into a school where I knew no one. It was my choice. But it did like give me real respect for meeting new people and having sort of gumption and getting over my fears and all those things. So
yeah, you go to summer camp where you don't know anybody and you're away from home for 2 months.
Right. And then we had a discussion. I immediately capitulated.
Not immediately. You capitulated the next day. You didn't capitulate. You just shut your mouth.
If we're going to talk about fundamental differences in parenting, you have to think of at least one. I don't think you can.
Sure I can.
Go.
Sleeping in her own frickin' bed.
I'm fine with that. I'm just not willing to do the work.
You're not willing to help. I mean, that is so frustrating.
No, because if it's something you want, if I want to go like have an ice cream sundae, I can't just sit at home and scream I want an ice cream sundae. I've got to go out and get that damn sundae.
Yeah, but that's not co-parenting. That's leaving all the work to me.
Well, because if it's up to me, I'll just let the cute little bub sleep on the floor next to us, because it's so cute hearing her snore.
I hate hearing her snore.
She goes, and you know what else she does? She laughs in her sleep.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever hear that?
Uh-huh.
She talks. Yeah. Last night she was speaking Spanish in her sleep, and then laughed out loud. It's adorable.
How about yesterday when she cussed in perfect...
I'm so embarrassed.
I know,
but ashamed of that.
But I have to mimic her.
I mean, so she's 3.5, and she's at that age where she can articulate almost any word. Like you could say anything to her, and she would be able to repeat it back with perfect inflection. And she's also, kids at that age are super chameleon-like, so they'll understand, they can deduce what the meaning of a word just by its context. And we work pretty hard not to swear around her. I would say that like on a scale of 1 to failure, we're like a B+ with not swearing around her. We try really hard. Yeah, we're pretty good about it. And she definitely does not watch TV, and the TV's never on of anything unless it's like Peppa Pig. So I think we do a good job of that. But Candice and I both, under duress...
Can I tell the story?
Under duress, we both will unleash a fury of profanity. And
so she has like a little routine before bed, which involves watching a little bit of TV, which is like a Peppa Pig episode or whatever. She's like, can we watch a little bit of TV? And if it's getting too late and we played too long, then there's no TV. It's like going to bed. And so we were all in the bedroom and like talking and getting ready and fluffing pillows. And she goes,
wait, I have to set the scene.
Okay.
You and I were like sitting on the edge of the bed chit-chatting, and she comes walking into the bedroom, minding her business, head down, like looking at whatever toy was in her hands. I mean, she was not putting this on as a show for us.
It was
not
so
a
natural.
Performance. It was just so fluid.
And she stops and she lifts her head up and she goes, fuck, we forgot to watch a little bit of TV before bed. I was like in the pillow, quiet laughing because I can barely breathe. tears coming down my face.
I mean, she said it so perfectly. Like,
Fuck.
if you had hired a child actor and tried to coach them on this line, and even if you replaced the profanity with a more mild word like, bummer, we forgot to watch TV. Like, the delivery was so flawed.
good.
It was as if she'd been saying this her entire life. Candice laughed so hard and in such hysterics that Francine started crying because she thought Candice was crying. She thought something was wrong.
Oh,
We look at Francine, like her baby lip is sticking out into her face with tears rolling down. She thought Mommy was crying. She had no idea why. And Mommy couldn't even explain why she was crying because she couldn't catch her breath. She was laughing so goddamn hard.
But I haven't laughed like that in a really long time.
But I think the important thing is Francine recovered. We said it was something else. And the good thing is that we didn't bring any attention to the fact that she did swear. So I don't think that she'll know that was
No, she
how
has
to
no clue. That's why
evoke
I
a
was
reaction
laughing.
out of someone. You still haven't been able to come up with a single thing that we disagree on so strongly as parents. See, I think that this is like a figment of
It's
your
not a figment.
I think this is like a book you read and you're projecting. What?
The candy,
That's not a hard disagreement.
the sleeping.
Nope, totally cool.
I feel like there's something.
There's nothing.
Oh, you know what? You always tell me not to yell at her.
Yeah, don't yell at our daughter. Don't
You yell at her when you get mad.
talk to me or my daughter ever again like that.
This is where you're a little bit of a hypocrite because my excited voice to her, like my agitated voice, is louder and higher. You also have an agitated voice. When she does something you don't like, it may not be screaming, but you're fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I know how to scare her as an authority figure, which is necessary. She listens when I do that tone.
What's the difference?
Well, because mine is controlled and unemotional. And yours is not. Yours is pure emotion and blind rage.
Okay, I disagree. I think that emotion comes out when you talk
Mine
like that.
is like, Francine, do not speak to your mother like that.
Bull honky.
Well, that's how I say it.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Francine, do not talk to your mother that way.
I never, ever raise my voice.
God is watching while you're speaking.
I don't raise my voice.
Oh my God. I'm going to have OK Google record.
I don't yell. You yell. You scream.
You just hear a woman's voice at an amplified pitch.
That could be true. That could be true.
You don't hear yourself. Listen, it's fine. You get mad at your kids. They have to know when you're serious or not. As long as you don't insult them.
She listens more when I get serious. The only thing I don't like is when she's being disrespectful or when she's sort of blatantly challenging you or me.
Why is she so mean to me?
Because she can. You have no boundaries. See, that voice I do is a hard switch. She knows it's either fun time with daddy or like, oh snap, time to pay attention because I turn into like, Francine, you don't behave like that.
Yeah, but say that louder.
I don't raise my voice. I have a voice like that for you too. Candice, get out of the shower. It is my turn. And you listen. What are you laughing at? You do. Yeah, you listen. Well, my feeling is that like she's only 3 now and she wants to sleep close to us. But soon she'll be 17 or 18 and she'll no longer want to be in bed with us.
No.
I just don't.
I need sleep.
Well, soon it's going to be you, me, Francine, and a little newborn baby.
Not in my room, it's not.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about getting my own apartment a couple blocks away so I can get some quality sleep.
I think it should be the opposite. I think I should get like a studio somewhere.
We just leave the kids. We could have your mom move here, move into our house.
Or mom just moved to LA. Oh, goodness. This is why we have to move to LA.
Well, that's a big, fat conversation right there. Moving to LA is something that I talked about quite a bit on the vlog, like for the last 3 years, really, on the YouTube channel. I would always talk about this idea of us moving west.
Everyone thinks we're fakers.
Well, they should. My family says the same thing. Mm-hmm. Jordan, my sister, won't hear it. Dean says we're full of shit when I talk about moving to LA. And in fairness, we've been talking about moving to California or leaving New York City for like 5 straight years. But there's been a few changes.
Like?
Van is having a baby.
Yep.
That's my brother. Your sister had a baby.
Yep, that's 2 cousins for Franny.
Your parents just moved there 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
My little brother's moving out there. He already has an
He's already
apartment in West
part-time there.
Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And I just am starting to freak out in New York City. Like proper, like DEFCON 1. That's the highest DEFCON there is. Level of freak out in New York City.
Oh my God, sorry, I'm so all over the place. But did you see that it's being put on the ballot that California, to vote for California to be in 3 states?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Go ahead.
Next week is VidCon, which I'm going to. And we're also going for like the week in California with the whole family so we can look at houses and neighborhoods and stuff and think about where we might want to live.
Yeah.
Are you going to come to VidCon?
Maybe.
Wait, really? You're shaking your head now. She's shaking her head
Don't
no.
tell them. No, I'm not going to VidCon. Although I did get mine and Francine's tickets, all access pass, emailed to me.
Really?
I'm like, okay.
Give me those. I'll give one to Paul. You think anyone will say anything if he has a pass that says Francine Neistat on it?
We'll make him a fake ID that said born in 2000. Whoa.
You don't know what year?
2014.
You don't know the year that Franny was born?
I didn't know the decade. That's how old I am. I still think 1990 is like 6 years ago.
No, so I've been actually kind of a little pessimistic about VidCon because I get so nostalgic about it. Like the first year at VidCon was such magic. I went with Jerome Jar and like there was a million friends there, and I just remember like this almost college. I didn't go to college, but this almost college like vibe of all of us staying in the same hotel on the same floor, and like in every room was another YouTuber who I'd kind of never met before and always wanted to meet. And it was such an amazing, extraordinary experience where like what was only existed in the virtual space was now happening in the physical space. And then like last year was a big bummer for me at VidCon because I think you and I were having a big fight, remember?
I don't remember, but I don't doubt it because we always get into fights before you leave.
And then I was there and it was like nobody was there to hang out with me, and I was like lonely, and I just remember not leaving my hotel room and it being really strange. And then this year I like called Jesse and I was like, are you going to VidCon? And he was like, no, bro, nobody's going. And I got super bummed out. But then I got a FaceTime call from David Dobrik who was like, yeah, of course I'm going to be there. It's going to be awesome. So now I'm all excited about VidCon again.
VidCon is what you make of it.
You've never.
I don't.
You're
I
saying
have
you're speaking
idea.
in platitudes right now.
Platitude.
Doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything.
Do you remember that commercial, or are you too young? When you could get the National Geographic animal cars, and it's like, the platypus. It has feet like a duck, but it something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that commercial?
Yeah. Why are you bringing that up right now, honey?
Because it was a platypus, and it sounds like platitude.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I don't even need a drink. It's like a circus in my brain all day long.
Is that the pregnancy, or is that just who I married?
That's yeah, touche.
Okay, so the choice in LA goes like this. We can live close to Candice's sister who lives near the beach and live in a very extremely modest house with no yard or anything like that because it's super expensive over there. Or we can live far, far away near where Candice's mom lives in like the valley part, which is like, for if you don't know Los Angeles at all, it's much further away from the beach, but houses are much more like affordable there, and we could have like a nice house with a yard and all the things that we want. And that's what that's the decision we're trying to make. And there's one X factor there for me. Well, I really, really, really want to have like a studio at our house for me when we move to California. You think that would you think that would work, or would you bother me all day?
Oh, I don't know that I'd bother you. It's more like I would like a life-size Barbie playhouse in my house for me to play in, but like it's just not going to happen.
You don't think like we could get a house that has a garage that I could make into like my studio?
I mean, maybe, but right now, like the max we can find is a 3-bedroom house. So
that's big. I could have one of the Oh, we
we're
have
gonna have
another
2
baby.
children.
I keep forgetting about that fetus.
Yeah, it's tough. If we want space, we have to move away. But then the whole point of moving there is to be near family. So I don't know. It's a stressful thing.
So here's my like post freak out New York City plan that I'm hoping to realize when we get to California, which is that like I don't want to do anything. Like I don't want to have to interact with any humans. And and to have my own studio that's at our house, I think I could do that. And all I want to do is just put my head down and make videos, and to physically force myself into an environment where I could just like focus and become like a real nerd and just focus on doing the one thing that makes me really happy, which is making videos. I think that's the fantasy.
It's really crazy because people think you're so outgoing and fun and like adventurous and stuff. I think we touched on this before, but you're like, you don't even like having friends. Like,
I'm adventurous.
You're adventurous, but
I just don't like people.
Yeah, like you need your one friend and that's it. And like, I think people who don't live in New York can't appreciate this, but people who do live in New York City understand that it's a very lonely place. And if you are an introvert, this is actually a great place for you because no one gives a shit about anyone else. No one cares what you're wearing. No one cares if you talk to yourself when you walk down the street, because we all do it. You know, you can walk down any street and there's somebody talking to themselves, playing out a whole conversation on their face. It's not a super social place. Like, people work here and then they do their own thing and then they go to bed.
I said that to Dan. You'll never be in a more populated, crowded place and feel completely alone than in New York City.
Yeah.
But that touches on the magic of this city.
Well, that's what's amazing. And that's what kind of scares me about LA is like, you can be alone here. But there's still activity around you. So you don't feel alone, right? You can be lonely, but you're not alone. There's always something going on, anytime, day or night. If you're feeling lonely in LA, that you're kind of like fucked, right? You're stuck. Like, there's not, like, you can't walk out in the street and there's like 1,000 people crossing the road to go somewhere.
I wonder if anybody can really relate to what we're talking about right now. Like, how many people do you think listen to this that also live in like really crowded metropolitan? Like, how many people live in cities versus live out in the country?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying is like there's a misconception
about living in the city. And
it's actually really great for introverts like you and me.
Yeah. I mean, I always said, like, I never felt like I fit in because, like, when I lived in Connecticut as a kid, I was always such a troublemaker. And I always felt like I was being judged and being told I was wrong a lot. And then I moved to New York City and just no one cares about you in New York City. Everyone here is so selfish and self-centered and is so busy worrying about themselves. They don't care at all about you or what you're doing or who you are.
I mean, I saw a guy walking down the street yesterday in green sneakers, green socks, green pants rolled up so you could see his green socks, a green button down, a green sweatshirt, and a green baseball cap. And I was like, yeah, go you. Like,
remember there was that woman who for like many summers in a row walked around wearing no shirt?
Yes, I do remember that.
Just nobody cares. Nobody cares in this town. And I do worry I'm concerned about that when we leave New York City.
Yeah.
Because I relish in that. But this is I'm contradicting what I was saying before, which is that...
are you?
Aren't I? Which is that I want...
Are you?
I want a kind of seclusion. That's the thing I'm looking forward to most about leaving the city.
Okay, but that is a contradiction, but that's where I'm disagreeing with you. I think that when you have seclusion without activity around you, you're going to really know what seclusion is.
Well, this is why I think that we need to be closer to your sister.
I know. It's just giving up my dream of like a proper house, you know?
Yeah, you can't have a yard there.
But there, you know, I just always thought that by the time I was 40, I'd have like 3 kids and a Suburban and...
Well, you have 2 kids. Maybe we could get a Suburban. You'll have 2 kids and a Tesla.
Yeah.
By the way, our house has gotten so much smaller since you went and got pregnant.
It does feel smaller, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't even fit in there anymore. I can't believe I'm going to be living with 3 women by the end of this year. I'll be sleeping in the hallway, a little sleeping bag.
Put a knock on the neighbor and be like, hey, you guys ready to move out?
We do. We live in an apartment building, and there's like a bunch of apartments on the hallway, and we have neighbors. They're lovely people. We sort of know them. We don't really know them, but we were walking, Francine and I were walking back to our apartment or in the garbage can. We were dropping off our trash, and the neighbor was like, saw Franny and was like, Franny, hi. And Franny looks into her apartment. She's like, oh, it's different in their apartment. And she invited Francine in. Francine was in there for like 20 minutes. And then when I finally got Francine out, the woman was like, anytime you want to come back, Franny, just let me know. And then that night at like 11 at night, Francine was trying to sneak out of our house to go back into the neighbor's house.
She's so funny.
City living.
City living. She also loves that our neighbor's name is Candice.
How long have we just been talking about our kids? There's nothing less interesting than hearing married people talk about their fucking kids, man.
See?
No, but like, what are we going to start showing people baby pictures on our cell phones? Wait till that second one comes out. I know. Do you know by...
Mommy, how does watermelon get out of your stomach?
The baby's
Go
name
back
is,
to bed.
The baby's name is Watermelon. Like, that's the name Francine gave her. And Francine has been asking pretty specific questions about how watermelon gets from inside of Candice's belly to outside. And she's just too young for us to just sort of gloss over, like, just the baby comes out.
It comes out.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to say? No. They slice my
please
stomach
don't start
open.
talking. You know, stuff freaks me out.
They pull out my intestines.
No, they don't. Do they?
They take all your innards, put it
don't
on the
say
side
that.
table.
No way. Okay.
Take the baby out.
Stop.
Then
Come on,
shove them back in and sew it back up.
I can't do all that. I can't.
I have to do it. You don't have to do anything.
I don't have to be subjected to the, like, picturing it. I don't want to have to picture that.
It's pretty nasty.
Childbirth is absolutely the most disgusting. Anyone who says
really
childbirth is beautiful is full of shit. That is just a disgusting, nasty, there's screaming and blood involved. It's just horrific. We're going to do questions soon, but before we get into questions, I wanted to bring up baby names.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah, we
like
can't
what
agree.
We're leaning towards?
We can't agree.
Well, there aren't any that you're like completely married to. What? There are?
How dare you?
Maybe I just haven't been paying attention.
I want the C name that I wanted with Francine, and then we get the nickname with the C name.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, there. So don't say I'm not married to any
Okay,
of
but
them.
my friend has a baby named that name, and we can't use the same name as our friend's name. That's
I like
super
all your
weird.
ex-girlfriends' names.
This is super weird. So Candice, when we were trying to name Francine, she had like 3 names, and they're literally the 3 names of my last 3 girlfriends.
I liked them.
That's do you know how strange that would be for me? Screaming that name for the rest of my life?
I'm changing that name's diaper.
It's like a cruel punishment. The name that I really liked was, we think of another name, like Franny's full name is Francine, but what about a name like...
We said like Franklin or something.
Yeah, Franklin or something, because I love the idea of having 2 daughters and having their names be Franny and Franny. I think that's the coolest names ever. So, but Candice vetoed that.
I vetoed it.
And then Candice really likes hyphenated names. Like what? Mary Lou? Mm-hmm. What was the other one?
Emmy Lou.
Emmy Lou.
Anything with a May on it. Something May.
Barbara May?
No.
What's a May name? Mary May? That's
no. Daisy May.
I like the name Daisy.
I wanted Daisy with Francine so badly,
No,
and you
like
crossed it off that little envelope when I was totally high after surgery.
How we named Francine is Candice was on so many drugs after she had the baby, because it was like an emergency C-section, the whole thing. She's on all these crazy drugs. And I convinced her when she was deep in one of her drugged out stupor that they wouldn't let us leave the hospital until we named the baby. So then I presented her with a list with 3 names on it. And she finally gave in to Francine, which is the name I wanted from the beginning. So maybe that's how we'll go. In any event, if you have ideas for names, really think, how does it go with the name Franny?
Okay, I like names that are proper names that can be then shortened to really cute nicknames.
Like what?
Because I never had a nickname growing up. I was never allowed to be called Candy. I was always jealous of people that had nicknames. That's why it's very important.
The hippie names I liked that you brought up.
Which ones?
Rainbow and Sunshine.
So cute.
Those are great names, like proper names. Like on the birth certificate it says Sunshine Neistat. No? You're making a face.
It's cute. It's like really hard to commit. Anyway,
Sunny and Franny?
Sunny.
Okay.
Thank you for the...
All right, do we have questions this week?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, questions. As always, ladies and gentlemen, you can submit questions using the Anchor app, and like you can just like record, like you just say your question, and then we play it in right here in the podcast. Okay.
Hey, Candice and Casey, it's Nikki here. So we've heard a lot about what makes your relationship challenging. The ups, the downs, how you push each other's buttons. But what makes you guys succeed? Obviously, you're an amazing couple. How do you click? How do you work?
Nikki, who just asked that question. I think what makes this relationship work is that it was a battle to get to this place, but after being together for so long, I'm completely okay with Candice being Candice, and Candice is completely okay with Casey being Casey. And the times when we fight, like, you can always bring it down to one thing, which is she's trying to change me or I'm trying to change her. And I think that's a near impossible, it's a very hard thing to do. Like, I always think of like a Venn diagram. You have two circles, and in one circle is you, and in the other circle is your partner. And there always has to be some overlap, and that part that overlaps in the middle is the relationship. And when those two circles completely overlap, and it's hard to distinguish who's who, and there's no longer two individuals, but just a single relationship, that is untenable. That is not a way a relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, that's not the way it will ever work. So enabling your partner to be their own person, and you making sure that you remain your own person is what I've always found to be like at the very root, the source code of our success in marriage.
But what you said at the beginning is true. It's like we did a lot of the hashing out over like the 10 years we dated before we got married.
Yeah, and there's still stuff I absolutely hate about you, and there's stuff you hate about me.
I hate you so much.
Easy. But you have to accept that. And like, I gave up on trying to change Candice. I gave up on, and she gave up on trying to change me. And
I can feel it too. I can feel, not that you gave up, obviously we want each other to be good people and all that, but like, I can feel that you've let go of my quirks and stuff. I can feel that they don't bother you anymore.
The only thing that I still struggle with on a daily basis is your absolute refusal to exercise. Okay, let's not go down that.
Whoa. Oh my.
You do. You're 40 years old. I've never you've
do I need to tell everyone about your health chart that you mark every single morning with your weight and BMI
track and my
it's so weird.
And I track my caloric intake and the miles that I run every day. Candice, I'm fitness. All right, let's take this question from Greg and Sophie.
Hey, Candice and Casey, it's Greg and
Sophie. Hi.
We're calling from Vancouver, Canada, and we just wanted to ask how you guys find time by yourselves. I know you were talking about it in the last video, but we just have a daughter and have a hard time finding time to get out and not feel bad about it. So, yeah, love your stuff, and I've been following you for quite a while. So, hi from Canada.
Let me just say one thing before you say.
No, because I have something I want to say.
But I'm not answering their question. Let me just say one funny thing.
Is pot legal in Canada? Is that what you were going to say?
Because Greg sounded totally stoned. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys are stoned, but it sounded like you were. Okay. Do you want to answer that question? I've got an answer. Okay, go.
No, I just want to hear myself talk instead of you. I actually don't have an answer.
Okay, here's the answer, Greg. It's very hard, especially when you have a little one, to find time alone. But Candice and I, how old was Francine before we got okay with the fact that we had a babysitter on the weekend?
Oh, she was like 2.
Yeah, like 2 years, Greg and, what's your wife's name, Greg?
Sophie?
Greg and Sophie. 2 years before we got over the fact that, like, we're not bad parents because we have a babysitter come every weekend for just a couple hours. Like, it's not like we hand our child away when it's family time. In fact, Francine doesn't even know the word weekend. She calls them family days. She's got school days and family days. But even on the family day, we usually have a babysitter come for a couple of hours. And in that couple of hours, like this weekend we went and had dinner, right?
Right.
At like 4 in the afternoon.
Didn't have to wait for a table.
No.
Yeah, that's actually true. You have to let go of some of the guilt, and by whatever means necessary, let somebody watch your child, whether it's a favor or you...
Family member, if you're lucky enough to have someone near you.
You have to get away from your child. Our relationship was really suffering when Franny came into it. And the thing is, when you work all week...
That's not time.
That's not time for yourself or for your relationship with your partner. There's just no time to the kid goes to bed, you're exhausted, you don't want to talk to each other even. You have to put your happiness up really high on the totem pole.
On the totem pole. Okay, next question.
Next question.
They did sound stoned, didn't they?
Yeah. So jealous. Oh, just kidding.
Hey, Candice and Casey. My name's Janine, and I'm a student at the University of Florida. I kind of got the idea for my question from watching Candice's Girl Boss interview, as a lot of people in the comments were talking about privilege. And I know you two came from really different backgrounds with regards to how your lives unfolded and how you kickstarted your careers. So I was curious as to whether or not that ever got in between your relationship, Casey being kind of a risk taker, coming from near to nothing, while Candice had a family full of doctors to support her, and therefore what kind of seems like a permanent safety net, one that's always present at least. Thanks a ton, guys.
Great question,
Very
Janine.
good question.
Do you want to kick this one off? I've got some strong
I know,
opinions.
you can have some strong opinions. I will. The only thing that I'm going to say is that I know plenty of trust fund children who had unlimited funds. Now, we were just like upper middle class. If people have this weird idea that my family was like super wealthy, they weren't. They were just responsible. But I know plenty of very rich kids that still do nothing. Nothing. It's so like, don't say that just because you have access to some funds means that you automatically succeed. That's taking away all the hard work I've ever done.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
disagree.
No, I don't disagree. I agree with you. And I think that as I've gotten to know you and know your family, I realized that you were a waitress when you moved to New York City because you had to support yourself, and I appreciate that. And I've always known you as a hard worker, and I've told the story a million times over that like it was when you had like a really tumultuous time in your business and you decided to pull up the bootstraps and make it work that I really fell in love with you. But when we first met, it was more of a cultural issue. Like Candice's parents were all doctors, or Candice's extended family, they're all doctors. And I remember when they first met me, and like when you first told them we're dating, and like Candice's extended family was all like very literally and very confrontationally like, oh, he's only marrying Candice because he thinks she has money. Mm-hmm. And that was just like, that was super frustrating for me. And then there were definitely times too, like I vividly remember you being in Connecticut, and there were times when Candice and I first met when I didn't have really a place to live in Connecticut, and I would go there and stay at my grandmother's house, or I'd stay in my dad's attic or whatever, just so I could be with Owen. And you had this idea to go to a hotel, and like your mother paid for us to have a hotel room so we could have we didn't have to sleep on my grandmother's couch. And so there was a bunch of those things. I just bring that up to show some context that it wasn't always like rich girl with nothing but eye rolls for poor old Casey. Like there was a lot of love and kind gestures there, but it was definitely very, very challenging, I think, for your family to overcome my position versus for me to overcome your family's position.
You were always very comfortable wherever you were.
Well, the line that I always say is that I've always been super, super rich. I just haven't always had money.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't care. Like when I first met you, I had nothing. I had no money, but I would still, like, if I had $500 to my name, I'd be like, cool, plane ticket to Paris is only $475. I'm out of here. And now it's kind of a non-issue because I think we've grown up, and Candice's family's seen that I can take care of the family, and our financial situation is much more stabilized now than it was when we were kids. Mm-hmm. Janine, we could have done an entire episode.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, we should put a pin in that one. Okay, next one, Valentina.
That's a cute name.
Hello, my name is Valentina, and I had a question about the separate bed situation. So it surprised me when I heard that at the beginning of the podcast, because my wife has actually been pushing me lately to consider separate beds when we move. It just seemed weird to me. I've never really known anybody who's done that as a couple. But I'd like to consider it. So I was wondering if you had any advice on the situation, and if you could just tell us a little bit about any challenges that you had, or why you considered doing that. Thank you so much for the podcast. I look forward to it every Friday.
Valentina.
Sorry we missed last week. You were so sincere in saying you look forward to it every week.
Valentina, let me tell you how to change your life for the better. Have separate beds. Honestly, do you like hearing someone snore or waking up to the smell of their farts?
You're selling something right now for $19.99 a month.
If you can have the space to do it, do it. You want to know something funny? My parents always had 2 twin beds inside a king bed frame, which I think is like the bare minimum that like human beings should have, because they have different blankets, different pillows, different sheets, different everything. When you get up in the middle of the night or at 4 o'clock to go edit, I'm up. Check my phone, go to the bathroom, have to go back to bed. I hate it.
Valentina, like, maybe this isn't normal, but like, I guess I maybe cuddled when I was a teenager in my 20s and with a girl for the first time, but
yeah.
Like,
Spooning's not cute.
Yeah, spooning and cuddling, I don't think is something that adults do. And like, without getting into detail, I think we have like a very healthy physical relationship. It's not about that. It's not about sex. It's just about like,
absolutely not about sex or emotion or feeling someone comforting you. It's purely
wonderful.
about sleep.
It's wonderful, Valentina. When you're an adult, sleep is such a precious thing, and it's so fleeting, especially if you have kids, that if there's any way to improve on that, like not having to hear Candice get up when she needs her 2 a.m. potato chips, or like her not having to hear me say up at the crack of dawn every morning, and
I like to watch TV before I go to sleep.
It solves all those problems, Valentina.
It is a very simple. And then you know what? If you decide to share a bed one night,
yeah, good for you.
Go for it.
Yeah. I think the only reason not to is ego. Like, feelings get hurt. Like, if Candice and I slept in the same bed for 10 years and she came to me tomorrow and said, I don't want to sleep in bed with you anymore, yes, my feelings would be destroyed. But, and I hope we're not being insensitive to how sensitive of a suggestion that can be. But I think if you're just completely unemotional and pragmatic about it, it's just something that makes everybody's life a little bit better.
Honey, you snore.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, that's it. This is a little bit of a longer podcast. I hope that's okay. We had a lot to yap about because we missed you last week. We will be back next Friday for our regularly scheduled podcast. And one thing that I do want to flag is we have been recording these to like put on YouTube, and they'll make awesome videos. I think it's fun, but there's just been some technical nonsense, and that's why we haven't posted on YouTube yet. But we have a new person that we're putting in charge of kind of producing the video aspects, so that should be up soon, which is exciting. It's super exciting. Lastly, please subscribe and give us stars or thumbs up or however that works, because it really helps us. And
and the hashtag couples therapy is starting to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, anywhere podcasts are available, you can find us. And if you use Anchor, you can submit questions just like those great questions we had today. Okay, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
You're just making fun of me.
I know. But I just, want to have the last word.